Hi, guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen.
Miguel.
Buenos días.
Yeah. And we're here. Thank you for accepting the invitation. See that you're at your apartment, I'm at mine. So thank you for accepting the interview. As I told you, I am the journalist and chief editor of this website called Infoquorum at Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And since Mexico has its own pavilion in the Uncensored Library Project, and it's a very important subject for us, both as country person and also as a journalist, we needed to dig a little bit deeper in the subject that you are, but the organization you work for is exploring via this project.
Well, my name is Kristin Ba. I'm the Public Relations Officer for RSF Germany, and I was responsible for the campaign, the Uncensored Library, which is a project where we try to overcome censorship with the game Minecraft and with books within Minecraft that we published there.
But how does this idea spawn? How do you like get to the point as RSF? Of course, that's its mission, but how do you say like, oh, you know what? Let's build a website. Well, a library, a mausoleum too, within a game. But how do you go from there to this?
I think because we try to find creative ways to overcome censorship, but also to find creative ways to put the spotlight on this issue of censorship worldwide and of the problems that we see on press freedom, on attacks on press freedom. So this was mainly just a different approach that we wanted to try, but also a different approach to reach a new target group. So gamers are a completely different target group that we never really reached before. And there's so many people playing Minecraft, over 140 million every month, and almost in every country in the world. So it's something that is like everyone is in touch with worldwide, exactly like press freedom. Everyone has to be in touch with the issues of press freedom and how important it is for our democracy and our societies.
Of course, it's important that children grow up in a free press society. But like, wouldn't it be, just a question, wouldn't it be dangerous for kids to read material that in their own countries, for example, let's say someone from Iran or Saudi Arabia, that would get access to material that would be considered censored by the state? And would it be like a dangerous thing for a teenager, for example, that to read the material that is censored by the state?
I feel like it's rather dangerous if teenagers can't read these materials. True. Because everyone needs to have access to this information. And if we can provide young people with information to build their own opinions, I feel like this is what we have to do. And of course, people shouldn't, publish it or share it on their own social media if they live in a country where this is forbidden. But since people that come to the library can inform themselves about these issues in their own countries, in every, like how the situation is in every country, we want to educate each and every one and make them sensitive for the situation they have in their countries and how to deal with these information they get.
So in a nutshell, it's more dangerous not to release them, right? Because then Definitely. That means that you live in a state that like literally tells you what to read. And that's, yeah, of course, that's, it's a slippery slope to
very sad, yeah.
to very sad and very dangerous outcomes. So let me get back to your whole campaign, that the one that you were actually involved in. So a safe space for journalists to connect with the next generation. that's also, well, the mission that we're discussing right now. And when you say like when you're quoting Nguyen Van Dai that spent 15 years in prison, it says we need to inform young people about the real political situation around the world, right? And in terms of this real political situation, what's your take on this phenomena of fake news, of governments paying, overcharging other platforms to disinform population, especially the young population? In as we all saw in the U.S. election, the last presidential election, many right-wing groups paid, but not only like alternative media or alt-right media, but also many meme and like this kind of posting that young generations do.
I feel like this is very like distant from our campaign, but of course I can give you my opinion or the opinion of RSF on this as well.
No, please.
We started I mean, not we, RSF International, because I'm from the German section, but the international office started an initiative on the effects of disinformation on democracy. So this is kind of the topic that you were talking about, how, like, from which parts of society we need to involve people to tackle this issue. Of course, it's a very dangerous situation that we can also see now in the US, where we are awaiting the next election, and we have to see, like, we have to be careful and monitor it very closely to make everyone aware of this issue as well. But yeah, since we can see that some people are, I mean, Facebook is trying to stop some advertisements from parties, but we can also see that, again, it's not doing it with Trump's advertising. So it's very, yeah, two-sided. And like I said, we have this initiative to inform and to find a solution with the society, together with the society.
Okay, so yeah, one of the most visible projects within RSF or ROG is the sort of thermometer you have on where are the most dangerous places to practice journalism, and it has become the searchlight, the beacon around the world for measuring also, or like a byproduct of how to measure society, so as a society, as a democratic society. So your last, well, the last year's thermometer, or how do I call it?
Press Freedom Index?
Yes, yeah, thank you. puts or publishes that Mexico and Saudi Arabia both have on their account, on their shameful account, 10 journalists each country that have been killed by sometimes unknown reasons, or sometimes extrajudicial executions. And this becomes one of the reasons, if I'm correct, one of the reasons why you have their own pavilion at the Uncensored library. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Like Vietnam and Egypt. So, but also I wanted to ask you, what's the criteria for the journalists themselves that are displayed at their wings, their pavilion? How do you, as an organization, choose the journalists?
So we don't want to put anyone in danger by adding the text to the library, of course. Yes. So one criteria is for every journalist to be safe, to be either anonymous, like we found a solution with Madame Master, we didn't publish any names there, or with Nguyen Van Dai, he lives in exile in Germany. So we tried to find a solution where everyone is happy with, because we collaborated with the journalists, and we had to make them aware of the dangers that could occur for them. So this was kind of the criteria of working with them. And in Mexico, of course, it's a bit different because we focused on self-censorship and the high numbers of death and in this country. So here we kind of wanted to focus on the journalists that have been killed last year, but also on the two famous cases.
Yeah, because yes, of course, you have as a flagship, you have Javier Valdez, was a friend of our news media also, and well, friends of many journalists and journals. And yeah, so we wanted to know what was the criteria. Of course, impact, I think, must count for example, in this case, that the impact of Javier's work, that's everlasting, and his beautiful way of writing about the situation in Sinaloa. So that's the criteria. I wanted to ask you also, like, what would RSF do because the whole strategy here is to find this, as you call it, loophole to bypass internet censorship by like inceptioning or something these articles in the most successful game in internet. So, but what would be the strategy if by doing this game becomes censored in other countries? What would RSF do, or what would be your institutional response?
So the first thing is that you can't really censor Minecraft as a game because it's it consists of several thousand, 100,000 servers. So everyone can create his or her own server like we did with the library. We also created it independently from Minecraft. So this is kind of our take on it. We try to secure the server, of course, but it could be blocked. Technically, it could be blocked. Our solution is that we provide an offline download on our website that every Minecraft player can download and then provide on a server again. So this is kind of how we try to spread the library. Yeah, and this link is also secured by a blockchain technology. So this is how we try to.
For explaining it, because I do have the cold download here, and it's very interesting. Yeah, I did do it because I wanted to have it. But I wanted you to explain it because it's very interesting that you, as an individual user, can. Well, actually, that's the nature of this game, that you can download packages of landscapes and blocks and different kind of things, but that this too is not only like on one or many servers online, but also that it's part of a cold download package that you can have as an individual user, and that actually, yes, it prevents the whole thing from falling apart. Of course, it can be blocked, but it's also, well, it would take many cyber attacks to do that.
Yeah,
let's
hope 100,000.
I want to tell you, well, to ask you, so an ABC report, an ABC in Spanish, it's another ABC. It compares it, like, maybe this is a more aesthetic part of it, but it compares this library with the Saint Genève library in Paris, or the New York Public Library in its whole neoclassical image. So just for curiosity's sake, what was the design criteria? Because it is very regal, like huge, and so that's a message too. And we wanted to know what that message was, or if you have a take on it.
I feel like our message, or what we tried to reach, was that every Minecraft player is impressed by the building itself. So we wanted to, of course, create attention and a visual that is very strong with this library. And the agency we worked with, so Blockworks, they were, of course, very excited, and the players and the people who built this library. So it's mainly to get attention, to show like this is something important that we have to focus on.
very interesting because I read that it took millions of building blocks. Well, of course, digital building blocks, but around 12 millions or something like this.
Mm.
And this talks to me about a real, like, not a real, but an overwhelming effort from the developer to create this whole, this whole library and this whole monument, we can call it. And it's also very beautiful because you have the gardens and everything. It's very interesting that this is aesthetics is part of this message. And also, like, well, yes, of course, this Western aesthetics of the whole library concept, the whole like it reminds me of the mausoleum where Napoleon is buried. It's great. It has this whole well, I don't want to do the comparison, of course, but in this sense of I see where this journalist specifically from Madrid, Silvia Nieto, is getting at when it compares it with French architecture, the whole Roman thing of it's very interesting because it signals like a message that says it's built to last forever, but also it's built to last forever in the digital world.
Exactly. And what we really don't want to like portray is some kind of neo-colonial image that this is like where knowledge is. It's just to have this massive visual to show.
No, of course, the idea
it's gonna last. Like,
it's built to last forever, even in the digital world. That it's a strong message. I think it's a very dignified message. And no, my intention wasn't to tell it's a neo-colonial thing. COVID-19. So your it's a standard question. No, it's not a standard, but it's the topic at hand. So your release date, March 12th, the International Day to Fight Against Online Censorship. So, and this is when most in the Western Hemisphere, well, at least here in the Americas, the pandemic really exploded. Like between these weeks of 12 and 23rd March, the pandemic like took a toll on the general population. And I wanted to ask you, of course, you had to release it. It's part of I imagine, a year-long, 2 years long plan to do it. But how did it affect the impact on public opinion? Like you released it, and you, of course, and you as a media and public relations officer, maybe expected to have a more widespread attention. And because of the whole situation, everything seemed to stop. Although Minecraft didn't, because it has even more players now. But in terms of media coverage, this project, how did you like?
I feel like especially special interest media picked it up and reported on the project, which was great, which was kind of what we wanted, because attracting too much media attention would also be difficult for the project, because if governments find out about it, they could try and block it and censor it. So it was not really a problem that the attention was on the pandemic, which is we can't really foresee what is happening. And I feel like we didn't even see this. I mean, we didn't see this coming at all. So it was kind of good that we published it at this time, because it gave people the opportunity to do something and to inform themselves about important topics when they are at home, and also to use the internet for these topics. Like I feel many people try to find a digital way to protest even, and this is kind of what we provided them with this library. Gave people the space to express their frustration, maybe also about the situation in their countries, because we have this chat where people can talk to each other, young people. And it's a bit similar to how Hong Kong protesters used Animal Crossing, for example, to protest.
Yeah, right now the whole, well, it's not like Well, it's been happening ever since it's been 10 years now since the whole social media platforms started to develop this very interesting niche of being platforms for protesting and for flagging undemocratic behaviors by their governments. And yeah, okay, so yeah, that's very interesting because you say it didn't stop us really. It's different, of course, nobody expected it, but the platform is there, it still works. And yeah, and this that I was embedding in the question. And now the numbers of Minecraft are even larger because, well, of course, everyone is at home. And many people, not only teenagers, but many people within the age of 25 and 30 and 35 are playing this. Because, well, when you work at your home, you have more free time sometimes, and then you have more work to do, but okay. So there is this thing on Wikipedia that says, I don't know, that you are building a COVID-19 room. Is this true? Maybe not. That's why I'm asking.
It's on Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, because it's not. So you said it's true? Because it's in Wikipedia?
We actually, we did actually build a room for COVID-19, but it's, so the idea was to publish the information we have that we found out how COVID-19 is affecting press freedom. So it's not really that we publish censored articles, but we publish information that is censored in certain countries because governments don't let journalists report about the pandemic freely.
It says Brazil, China, Egypt, Hungary, Iran, Myanmar, North Korea, Russia, Thailand, and Turkmenistan. So that the countries that it had, like 10 countries.
Yeah, we didn't really focus on the countries, but like the information we had from it's not like a specific decision to choose these countries because the pandemic is actually affecting so many countries, and we could.
It's just like a study or a sample of the kind of work you want to do in this COVID-19 room. Is that the name, COVID-19 room?
Doesn't really have a name.
Doesn't really have.
I mean, it's the section, it's just, it's the COVID-19 section, but
19 section. And is it too on Minecraft?
If it's on Minecraft?
Yeah. Or is on your website?
Oh no, it's in Minecraft.
It's in Minecraft.
We didn't really publish the information. It's mainly for people that are already in the library or that discover something new there. So it's more,
because it doesn't have its own.
It's in the main room, and it's in the cellar, so you have to go down and then.
So that's those are the steps for our future viewers, that if you want to check it out, you have to be in the main room and on the cellar, down the cellar. Okay.
It's in the RSF room, in the truth room.
Okay, the one that has 2 sections.
The one that has like this, these blocks that form to the word freedom. Truth if you're in the right position.
Yeah. I know which one. Okay, so that because it has 2 sections. I'm looking at the map and I think it has a section 1.
Are you in the? I thought you're in the library.
No.
You're not in Minecraft.
So I think that would be it for us. And so thank you for all your time.
Thank you for doing your work as a journalist.